Well, hello beautiful people. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some amazing winter reads. These are the perfect books to read when it is cold outside, you are inside by a fire with a little cup of hot chocolate. This is what I want for you. If you are new to my channel, hi, I am April. You can think of me as your fairy bookish godmother. On this channel, my goal is to hook you up with your next 5-star read. And these are just a few of the 5-star reads that live rent-free in my head. If you like what you see, I hope you'll subscribe, hit the bell, and stay a while. So I've got a bit of a laundry list here of winter books that I think are just perfect for this time of year, many of which are a bit scary, so enjoy. First up is Still Missing by Chevy Stevens. I read this last year and it was incredible. This is about a woman who is a realtor. She is at an open house and a man comes. He's the only person that comes to the open house, and he takes her and he kidnaps her and brings her to the middle of nowhere. And it is extremely gritty. Very, very gritty. Like, if you like Karen Slaughter, I think you would like Chevy Stevens as a whole. But I think that you would get on well with this book. If you're new to thrillers, maybe skip this one because it's quite graphic. I think that this is a really great winter read because there's this element of being stuck inside because someone has taken you, and having a little taste of freedom. And that taste of freedom being in the great outdoors in the midst of freezing cold winter. It just becomes more visceral, and you feel the snow in this book. The next book is another terrifying one called Nightwatching. This is about a woman whose husband is away. She's at home with her 2 kids. She's just put her son back down to bed and she's going back to her room. It's the middle of the night and she hears footsteps and sees someone. The way that she is in the hallway, she can see him, but he can't see her. There's something about the lighting at night in which that is the case. She takes her children and goes into a little tiny cubby under the stairs and is trying to keep these children quiet, which is very hard to do when some of them are young. And he is looking for them. It is like edge of your seat, nerve-wracking. It is in the middle of winter. They kind of live in the middle of nowhere, and it's trying to escape with everyone alive. Truly one of the scariest books I've read in a while, like, especially if you have kids, this will scare you. The Writing Retreat is next, which I know some people liked, some people didn't like. I thought it was great. This is about a woman who really wants to become a writer. She has the opportunity to go to a writing retreat with one of her favorite novelists of all time. And she goes and she meets a group of other girls. One of the girls she has a history with, which was, well, they were like best friends, inseparable for a while, but something happened, which you learn through the course of this book, and they're no longer best friends. And so bit of awkwardness there, but there are all sorts of challenges that this author hosting the event has for these girls, and it's very hard to stay. You can get kicked out like overnight if you don't do certain things. And it is, again, in the middle of winter. They are in this kind of secluded home, and it honestly, it would be the perfect place to write your best book. Absolutely. But it can also be a bit terrifying to be kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere, especially under these circumstances. We Used to Live Here is next. Now, this was, I feel like, very much a book talk darling. Everyone seemed to love this book. I felt it was okay. I enjoyed it. Not as much as some of the other ones on this list, but I did want to mention it here. This is about a couple who buy this old house and they are spending time lovingly refurbishing it. And this is something that they do a lot. They go into a town, find a house that is quite beautiful and flip it. So they're doing that. There is a knock at the door and a man with his 2 kids and his wife are there, and he's like, I know this is weird, but I used to live here as a kid and I would love to come in and like show my family around. They've never seen it. They've heard me tell stories about it. Like, can I come in with them? And she like very reluctantly says yes. They come in and they just won't leave. Some of it is weather related. There is a snowstorm that has set in, and they can't really leave, but some of it is a bit creepy. So yeah, I would recommend. Most people have loved that book. Near to the Bone is next. Very disturbing book about a woman who has been taken captive by her husband. He makes her call her her husband. And she knows that that's not who he is. She also, I believe, is told that she has a different name, but she like somehow in the back of her mind remembers her name. Like, this woman has been in captivity by this man for ages. And they live again in the middle of nowhere. And she's forced to wear like very long, heavy skirts. She's not allowed to wear pants. And that also makes her kind of stuck. It's harder to get around and harder to escape when you're wearing this like enormous, heavy skirt. Now, there is the absolute terror that is her husband, but there is also a monster outside. A monster who will, in a heartbeat, kill anybody. And she witnesses that. She witnesses like animals that have been mutilated. And then she witnesses, in time, people too. So good. Really liked that book. A more, not uplifting, but not a scary book is The Book Thief. This is a World War II historical fiction book about a little girl named Liesel, I believe, who is taken in by a German couple who are not Nazis. They're actually completely against the whole Nazi regime. They're fighting it in the ways that they can. And she's just trying to have a childhood in the midst of all of this. There is one scene in particular, which is why I would recommend it for a winter read, where someone who hasn't gone outside in a very long time receives a snowball from Liesel. She brings him a snowball, and it's just the joy of that it brings. It's very touching. I don't want to give too much of it away, but this book will make you cry so much. And it's narrated by Death, which is such a genius thing. The next is The Giver of Stars, also historical fiction. This is about librarians, a true story, based on a true story, librarians who were women who would go on horseback to bring books. Apparently this was something that Eleanor Roosevelt started up. She wanted the people in rural areas to have more access to literacy, and so she set this whole thing up. And we follow several women who have decided to join this, and we follow their camaraderie, we follow their friendships, and you'll just be completely pulled in by the whole setting. As you can imagine, these horses, it's a year-round thing, so they are trudging through the snow sometimes on horseback in the countryside. And I just thought it was a lovely, lovely book. Life After Life is probably one of my favorite books of all time. This is by Kate Atkinson, and we meet a woman who is born over and over again. She like gets to a certain point of her life and then something will happen and she's born over again. And every time that she is born over again, she is born on a very snowy, I think morning, I could be wrong, a snowy day. And so there's something about that just, well, it obviously feels very wintry, but the whole book feels a little bit wintry to me. I absolutely adored that book. The writing is magnificent. Back to terrifying. No Exit. No Exit is about a woman who is heading home. Is it at Christmas time? I feel like it's around Christmas time. She is heading home, but specifically to her mom's bedside. Her mom is dying, and she gets a call that like this could be the end. So she's rushing home, and she gets stuck at a, what do you call them? Places where you like stop and you can go to the washroom, you can get a coffee. What are those called? It's out of my mind. In any case, like a truck stop kind of thing. She stops there, and as she's walking in to this truck stop, she sees that there is a little girl caged in a car. The car is locked. She's like, what in the world is happening? And so she's going in to like tell people, but then she realizes, no, like someone here is doing that to this little girl. I must be much more careful with what I say, because again, no one's coming in or out right now. The snow is too bad. It is very disturbing, a little bit graphic, I will say, but I thought it was so much fun. The Winter People is next. This is a bit of a ghosty kind of story, very gothic, and this follows a young girl and her brother. Her mother has left. I cannot remember where she has gone. She is at home, and she stumbles upon the diary of a woman who was found dead in the woods behind their house like decades ago. They find the diary, and she's reading through this diary, and it's trying to solve what happened to this woman and trying to figure out with these kids, like, where did the mom go? And of course, the setting is very, very wintry. I think this woman died in the fields in the winter, so it has that vibe 100%. One by One is a Ruth Ware that I liked. This is about a retreat, a company retreat, and it's like a tech company. They're all getting together to talk about work, their next release, what have you. They are there to ski, but they get snowed in, and one by one they end up being killed off. And it's someone in the company, which is just fun. There's just something fun about that. And last but not least is Never Lie by Freida McFadden. This is about a couple who are going to look at a house that they're interested in buying. I think the husband in this couple has like really fallen in love with it, and she's just not so sure. He's like sold. They get there, and the real estate person isn't there, but they somehow get in. I can't remember how they get in, whether the door is open or there's something there where they're able to get in because they are snowed in. The reason that the real estate person couldn't make it is because there's a terrible snowstorm coming and it's not safe. So anyway, they're there, they go in, and they end up staying there overnight, and strange things start happening there. The woman who used to own the house vanished, never to be seen again. So that would be very creepy to decide to like buy a house from someone who has just disappeared and all of her stuff is still there. She has this like self-portrait above the fireplace, and that keeps being moved around while they're there. We also find out that this one of the characters finds like a secret room filled with tapes. This woman who had lived there was, I believe, a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and she keeps all of the tapes of her talking to her clients in this secret room. So our main character starts listening to those tapes and everything gets interlinked. It's weird because like Freida McFadden, I've read a lot of really crappy books by her. It's very like, it's more miss than hit for me. But this one, I was like, do more of this. This is what we want. Never lie. So good. Really, really recommend it. Those are all the books that I would recommend you pick up this winter. Lots of spooky, scary, disturbing books for you. I hope that you enjoy them all. Let us know in the comments below what you would recommend. Like, what is your go-to winter book recommendation that you recommend to people who ask? If you're asked that a lot, I don't know if you're asked that a lot. In any case, we want to know. So let us know in the comments below, and I will talk with you very soon. Goodbye.